In this video, we're going to be talking about DeVonta Smith, wide receiver from Alabama, and we're going to discuss how he should be valued in Dynasty fantasy football for rookie drafts and his long-term player value. And all of that is right now. What's going on, guys? This is Bruce Matson, your host of the show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football. At least that's the name of the channel right now. And I got a hot one for you today. I'm talking about DeVonta Smith. I've done all these player videos leading up to the draft, and for some reason I haven't kicked one out on him yet. I've talked about him when discussing Alabama, reviewing some of their games and stuff, but I haven't brought one up on him, and he deserves a player profile, and I'm doing it right now. And there's a lot to talk about because he is a very combative, I guess you can say, player in the fantasy football space, like in social media. You either love him or you're kind of fading him a little bit. Now, I don't see very many people really straight up hating him, but there are some players that are exercising a lot of caution, per se. I can kind of understand that, and I'll talk about that when I go across his profile. But the one thing I want to talk about is he blew up this year with 1,856 yards and 23 touchdowns. Year prior, he scored 14 touchdowns and 1,256 yards. So we've seen a linear progression. Market share standpoint, he started out with a 5% share of the passing offense during his freshman year, and it's gotten better each and every year. 14% age 19 during his sophomore season, a 28.23% last year, 2019. His age 20 season, and then age 21 his senior year, capping it off. You know, this massive breakout year where he won the Heisman with a 39.86% market share of offensive production. So we've seen a great linear progression for DeVonta Smith. He's just been getting better throughout his career metrically. The breakout age is kind of low from a metrics standpoint. It's not bad. It's just around 20 years old, so don't really like that too much. But I do like that when he produced big, especially this year. He made it count. I wish he would have broke out at age 19, but we have context around that, so we can bake that into the profile. He played with Jerry Jeudy and Ruggs and Waddle. They're cannibalizing each other. Kind of tough to just ball out when you're catching passes alongside a bunch of other savages. First round picks, so I can kind of understand. And he made up for it this year. I mean, it's hard to say a player's bad when they have 1,800 yards and 23 touchdowns in a weird season where COVID has been involved, and we didn't know we were going to have the season at all, and Jalen Waddle goes down. Now he has to be the focal point of the offense, and then he steps up. And it's not like during the early portion of his career, like, he wasn't a nobody. He wasn't some guy that just randomly broke out. He is a player that many people smarter than me, I think, pegged him as a good prospect, a good player, a player that does good things on the field. Very pristine route runner, a good athlete, and this was early in his career when he was less productive. We were hearing more rumblings about DeVonta Smith during his sophomore season. That year when he had 693 yards and 6 touchdowns. More people on Twitter talking about him. Made some good plays, flashed his talent. It's not like he was a guy who just came out of nowhere. We knew about him. We knew he was a player. We knew he played for Alabama. And sometimes when you're on an offense, when there's a lot of other good players on there, it takes a little extra time for you to break out. But he was showing flashes early on. It just wasn't equating to production and ownership production as well. But he made up for that in the back half of his career there. Negative parts, because you can't just look at all the sunshines and rainbows here. He had a good career at Alabama, finished strong. He is going to be an older wide receiver coming out to the NFL. He's 4-year senior. Late breakout, kind of 20-year-old breakout. That's something you do want to mess with. That is not set in stone. It's not finite, but it is an indicator of future success for fantasy football results, especially for long-term player values. And it's a prerequisite to be a top-tier player. And that's a mark he didn't hit. He's right around 20 years old on his breakout age. It's not very exciting. And the fact that he's starting his NFL career older as well, it's not very exciting either. But he will have draft capital on his side. From a metric standpoint, that's good. That lets us know that he's going to get the opportunity early in his career to prove himself. And if he takes off, then he could be a fantasy asset for a long time. Mid-round picks, late-round picks, they may never get the opportunity. At least we know with DeVonta Smith, he's going to get the opportunity to ball out. He's going to at least get the opportunity to fail. Some players don't get the opportunity to fail. So that's a good thing. And he's going to be drafted high. He's projected to be maybe the first wide receiver drafted. There's a good chance. A lot of mock drafts have him like that, and I'm talking about the big board, big industry mock drafts where these guys have their ear to the ground, per se, to NFL scouts, to what NFL teams feel about these players. So sometimes when you see a weird player in their mock, it's because they talked to somebody or something. It's not like they thought it up on their own. That's how that usually works. And DeVonta Smith is valued high among the draft community. And metrically, from another standpoint, and this has been beaten to the ground, it's a dead horse that's died 10 times, but his size is another thing we need to look out for. He is listed somewhere around 160, 165, 170-ish range, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, who knows. But I know this man's been running from the scale for a while. He does not want to weigh in, and it doesn't matter because you look at the picture and you know he's rail thin. And that's an issue because you do not see many wide receivers at that size compete at the NFL level, produce at a high level at that. Just look at the top wide receivers that have been productive, fantasy, regular football, whatever you want to call it. That not many of them are like 160, 165. They're not weighing in that range. They're not weighing in like high schoolers. He is rail thin. He's got a low BMI. And it's not just low BMI. It's just a rail thin look when you see him on the field. That is something you want to take caution in. Not all these players are going to hit. There's going to be a portion of them that won't. Maybe a lot of them won't. We've had 2 good wide receiver classes back to back. This wide receiver class projects to be good as well. But that doesn't mean that these players are going to hit just because they project to be good. I mean, it's just a projection. That's why it says project. They could run bad. That's possibly. So I can see all these things that DeVonta Smith's good at, but this is an elephant in the room. And if you just flick it off your shoulder like, yeah, it's just weight, he's still a good player, I'm not going to worry about it, then that's a bad idea because a red flag's a red flag. You have to notice it no matter what. I think he's a good player. I think he can compete at the NFL level. I think he can play for an NFL team. I think he can be productive, but I know that this red flag, his size, can be a massive speed bump. At least, or worse, it could demolish his ability to compete for a long time. To work around this speed bump, and thinking objectively, when I talk about these players, I think objectively. I pretty much just talk in circles till I get to somewhere, or I don't get anywhere, but people say I help them. But DeVonta Smith could put on some weight within the next couple years and be fine. With him being at that size, it's going to be easy for him to put on 10, 15 pounds. He's at a weight where I don't know if he's ever lifted weights before. I'm sure he has, but I don't think he's really been hardcore in a strength and conditioning program, at least the strength part. So he will get those newbie gains for sure. And I'm a gym rat. I've been in and out of the gym, or pretty much in the gym my entire life. And just seeing guys just start lifting out new, they put on size quick, or at least put on some size quick. And he's only at 165-ish, 170 pounds. That the needle can only go up, even with him just not knowing what he's doing. He's just showing up to the weight room. That's encouraging. He's at least going to put on something. I mean, the lower you are, if you put some effort into it in the gym, you are going to put on some size. So there is upside, or there's a good barometer that maybe next year, maybe the year after, we see him put on 10 pounds, 15 pounds. I don't think it's going to affect his speed that much. I think it'll make him a lot stronger player, a lot stronger getting off the line, a lot stronger on the release. And he doesn't have those problems, really. He's very technical. He's very technical with his hands. He's very technical knowing where he's at, knowing his placement on the field. The thing about him is, outside of his size, outside of his thin frame, outside of those cautions that we have, when you watch him on the field, there isn't really many red flags. He is a very stout, very nuanced player. He can go up and get it. He's got good ball skills. He doesn't really get pushed around, and you would think he would, but he doesn't. He runs good routes. He gets in and out of his cuts. He sells his routes good. He gets downfield. He can make plays. He's very quick. He has good burst, and he gets in and out of his breaks pretty quick. He's just overall good. He's a good player. That's why he was able to be so productive. And he's been good even as like a freshman, sophomore. Like, you've seen it on the field. You go back to those days, and you've seen how he could have transitioned this athlete into a Heisman Trophy winner. So it's not like he's a 165-pound guy that can't run. He's not like he's a 165-pound guy that can't make plays at the catch point. It's just that he is a baller. He is a player. And he does have room to grow. And if anything, I can see where he can develop his game. And I see a clear path to where that could easily happen for him, and that could easily make him a better player at the NFL. Whether that happens or not, we don't know. I don't understand why he couldn't have put on 10 pounds at Alabama, but if you really look at the wide receivers at Alabama, they're not bigger guys. They've been guys with thinner frames. I mean, Jalen Waddle isn't the thickest guy. Jerry Jeudy isn't the thickest guy. Henry Ruggs. It's not like they're rolling out Calvin Johnsons left and right. These guys aren't really super. I don't want to say jacked. That's a weird thing to say with wide receivers. But they're not super. I don't want to say stout. Maybe that's the best word. But it looks like these guys are more training towards their technical skills to the game. And the strength part is not been as heavily focused. I think that's the best wording for that. But technically, all these wide receivers are coming out. They're pretty sound. They're pretty savant-like. They're good players. I like that. At least I know with DeVonta Smith that I may not get this. The size may be in the way, but I know that since he's so technically sound, I might get a borderline thing. I don't see him ever busting on me. I don't see him being a bust. He may not give me my value, but I don't see him being a bust. And he is going to be an easy first-round pick in rookie drafts, since he's going to be a first-round pick in regular drafts, and maybe the first wide receiver selected, maybe the first skill player selected after Trevor Lawrence. Is quite the possibility. And that's appropriately valued. He's hard guy to peg when you rank receivers, because you got such a good class. You got Rashad Bateman, Rondale Moore, and Jalen Waddle. I can see anyone ranking any of those guys ahead of him. Jamar Chase is like the consensus 101 in drafts. He's my 101. I like Rashad Bateman from watching him on film and his metrics better. I'm worried if the NFL likes him at all. I don't know where he's going to go in the draft. I know DeVonta Smith's going to be a first-round pick. There's some things in his profile I don't like, but I know he's going to be a first-round pick. I know he's going to have a good floor and not bust on me. So I know he's a safe option. So there's a lot of good things about his profile. He's going to be valued pretty good. I know for startup drafts, I know for regular dynasty value and ADP, he's going to hold his value very well. He's got a lot of hype from the Heisman Trophy. He's not super old. He's not a Terry McLaurin age. And Terry McLaurin, when he balled out, he was fine when it came to dynasty value. So we shouldn't really be that worried about age with DeVonta Smith. He just has to probably produce earlier than expected. And the weight's going to be on his shoulders earlier in his career to produce. That's not really fair for a rookie wide receiver, especially in dynasty fantasy football formats nowadays, because people have less patience. But that's something you can capitalize on. You maybe catch DeVonta Smith at a discount next year if he doesn't produce, because there's those red flags that crop up. They could affect his value. But I think his value is going to be age insulated for at least the first year and a half of his career. And if he doesn't produce in this first season and a half-ish, then things could get a little dicey from there. But after all, you do have that time when you draft him to figure out what you want to do with him. You can hold, sell, or fold. And since he's a first-round prospect, he does have a lot of upside in his game. I can't really consider him even bust worthy, because you hold the cards when you draft him. Once you select him, you hold the cards. You can watch his career and you can pull the trigger and trade him away for a certain percentage off of what you paid on the sunk cost and back off. And that's a decision you can make. If you hold and you watch the stock tank and you didn't take any action, that's on you as a dynasty fantasy football manager. So at this point, I see this as a safe option, especially if you're a smart dynasty football manager. You watch your players and you're active on the trade markets. It's no lose if you play it that way, especially a player with this capital, with this kind of following and backing behind them. One thing you want to look at when you look at players is you want to know your league. You want to know what social media thinks about them. That way, if it comes time to move on from this player, that you have an audience, you have people to sell this player to. If your league hates him, then what's the point? That hurts the insurance policy of him being a breakout prospect or that Heisman Trophy winner that you can lean on to sell later on the road. But you never know with these players. My light went out, so the monitor's in the background. That's how it is. But I like DeVonta Smith. I'm not over the moon with him. I do not consider him like a generational prospect. I consider him a good prospect. He's better than okay. He's good. He's almost great, but he's not generational. He's not a must-get guy, and this is a deep wide receiver core. So, wide receiver class. So, I want to draft as many of these wide receivers as possible. One or two of them are going to hit big time, and I do not want to put all my eggs in one basket. I will have some DeVonta Smith, but I will also have a lot of other players. I'm probably going to be pretty spread out. I'm going to have a video on that probably sometime down the line. So another reason why you need to subscribe. I'm kicking out these videos left and right and letting you know what these players look like. I'm also giving you strategies of how to work this rookie draft, giving you my ideas, my thoughts, and this hopefully makes you a better player. Me making you a better player is the reason why you want to hang around here. But after all, this is going to be a great class. A great class if you're very smart with maneuvering your draft capital in your rookie drafts. I want to thank you for watching the show, following along with me. This is a little longer one. DeVonta Smith's easy to talk about. He is a kind of a polarizing prospect. I'm kind of in the mode today. I probably should just keep going. But thank you guys for watching. I noticed my last video with Jalen Waddle, I was able to drop some highlights of him in there, but instantly I got a copyright violation on there from YouTube. So that's why there's probably not going to be any for a while. I'm going to play around with that. Hopefully I can get away with it somehow, some way. Probably not. I talked to some other people and they were able to do it. I don't know if they're telling me the truth or not, but it's been getting me left and right on that. And I notice when that happens, it affects my views a little bit, so I kind of step away from that. And I don't know how many strikes I can get on that before they do something to the channel. I'm not that calibrated to that part of the process, but we're gonna keep keeping on, or whatever. We're still evolving, still moving forward in the right direction, working on getting some things better for the channel. So you want to hang around, make sure you're subscribed. But thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.